The garden and produce stands, everything is bursting with fresh summer flavor. So this week I thought it would be really fun to make a bunch of recipes that are summer specific, featuring a lot of summer fruits and vegetables, and we're starting off with peaches. We are making a breakfast favorite around here, which is waffles. I am using fresh milled flour. Of course, you can use all-purpose, and you want to dump it in. 2. This is also a sourdough recipe. I'm using discard today. You can also use bubbly, and sometimes I will actually mix these the night before. Let them ferment in the fridge overnight. Especially if I'm using all-purpose flour, I do like to ferment them overnight as well. So this morning we're doing fresh milled and with discard, but it's a pretty versatile recipe. We're gonna grab 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Then we'll do 2 teaspoons of baking soda. We'll do some raw honey, you can put that in there. We'll do a little bit of salt, and then 2 cups of sourdough starter. That's just a couple tablespoons. I'll do 3 cups of raw milk. I did also put in a little bit of vanilla. We have a lot of little helpers here this morning. Okay, we'll do 4 eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then finally 4 tablespoons of avocado oil. Not quite. Had to pop over my little vase of dahlias here. I just picked these in the garden yesterday, and they're such a fun part of summer for us here. But we are ready to plate the waffles now. So basically we're just gonna do a fresh milled waffle, and then I sliced up a bunch of peaches. Those are so delicious this time of year. We have some homemade yogurt. So many of you ask, what's the white stuff when we do pancakes or waffles? It's just yogurt. This is plain yogurt, and then we have some maple syrup. Often think of summer as the time for soups, but I just went and grabbed all these veggies from the garden, and I am craving a delicious creamy soup, and I think maybe we'll do some egg salad sandwiches with that. That sounds really good. I grew up eating a soup made out of red beets that we called borscht. It's a beet borscht essentially. So I'm gonna go kind of off of that idea. We're gonna do a bunch of red beets, super high in iron. And then we also dug some potatoes. We're getting some nice sized potatoes now. I have some carrots. I might grab a couple more from the fridge. We have some herbs, and basically we're gonna cook these, and then we will blend it so that it's just this nice creamy soup, perfect for dipping like sandwiches in, and it's the most beautiful color because of the red beets. So to start off with, my red beets here have quite a bit of dirt on, so I'm just gonna break the stems off, and then we'll rinse them first just so we don't get as much dirt on. Okay, the red beets and potatoes are peeled and washed now. So I grabbed a couple onions, and I grabbed purple onions to keep our deep like red trend going. And I am heating up some avocado oil. So we're gonna saute the onions, and I'll grab some garlic. We'll saute those first, and then we'll add some beef broth and then the veggies. We'll get wiped up here a little bit. We are also doing school on the side, which has actually been really fun to get back into that routine. I did go ahead and make my egg salad. It's just hard-boiled eggs, homemade mayo, and then a bunch of herbs, as well as some celery from the garden. That's been fun to start harvesting. But now we will put parchment paper in the pan here, and then I'll butter the bread. This is fresh milled bread, and we're gonna toast in the oven a little bit to get some nice crunch on the sandwiches. Okay, our potatoes and red beets are soft now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and blend this. Talk about New Flora's August collection. I have a beautiful selection here of some of my favorites of this month's collection. My discount code GOLDENHOUR10 is still good, and will give you 10% off the entire website. So let's get started with the Gia dress. This is such a beautiful print on this one. I feel like, especially as we start going into the fall months. Y'all, I should have cleaned my nails. I have been working in the garden. But this is such a beautiful print going into fall. In fact, I thought this would be really cute paired even with a chunky knit sweater. This dress is 100% cotton, and it does have a lining. You can probably see because I have big windows right beside me here. The lining comes till just above my knee. Both the lining and the dress itself are 100% cotton. It does have pockets, and then the buttons are also functioning. I love that this smocking goes front and back. I love that it has kind of wider sleeves. And then this is the Westlock cardigan. And my goodness, what a stunner. By the way, I'm wearing a small in the dress, and I'm 5'7", and I'm actually wearing an extra small in the cardigan. The sweater is also 100% cotton, and look at this detail. What in the world? That's one of my very favorite things about it. It also is coming out in more like a chocolate brown. The fawn dress is back in this beautiful cream floral. Y'all, I love, love, love this fabric. It is so pretty. On the website, I thought these were a little bit more yellowish. They're actually the most beautiful, like dusty mauve. This one is fully lined down to the bottom. The bodice here, this part is adjustable, and then the back actually has smocking. This one has nice deep pockets as well, and hits me, oh goodness, did I do this where you can see the length? Just above the ankle. And I thought it could be really cute paired with this. This is a beautiful, let me just get it unbuttoned here. This is a beautiful like crocheted piece. Oh my goodness, is that not beautiful? This is the Toronto top. I got it in a size extra small, and I maybe should have got a small, but let's see. It's so stretchy, and I think that that together can be just a really cute, fun outfit, and both the top and the dress are 100% cotton. I popped on the Romy sweater as well. Y'all, this would actually be so cute with this dress if you did that whole like tie a belt under and then tuck this, I think would be so, so cute. This is the most beautiful knit fabric. I think this one also came in like a beige or some kind of a brown color. I got it in this green color. I really, really love how it looks. It is cozy all around. This one is also 100% cotton. I'm wearing a small, so it's definitely a bit of an oversized, but could be really cute even with a more fitted dress underneath or a pair of jeans. So many ways to pair this as we think of cooler months coming up. One more sweater that I want to try over this, and by the way, you can see how all these pieces mix and match. New Flora makes such an effort that all their pieces, like from all the collections, can mix and match. I love how this one fits. It is a little bit more of a cropped fit, which I really, really love for dresses, especially this one has a really beautiful, just these little details going on. This one is also 100% cotton. Buttons are functioning, so you could also button it up for a bit of a different look. And I got this one in an extra small, and it is super comfy. Okay, switching it up to a little bit more casual. This is the trucker tee, and I am wearing a small. It is so stretchy, so comfy. This one is not 100% cotton though, so that's the one thing. It's about 50% cotton, I think, and then it does have some polyester, maybe some spandex too, going by how stretchy it is. So something to keep in mind if you're really specific with natural fibers, which usually I am. And so I find that it's really hard to find like these good layering pieces that are 100% cotton, because usually you want them to have some stretch, but I did want to point that out. And then I paired them with the Sienna jeans. Now I'm gonna have to either return them. I'm not sure. Can a mom who's had 5 kids still pull off like lower rise jeans? Not sure. These are too big for me, so I will need to size down. But otherwise, these are so fun. And then a very wide pant. Threw over top the rosewood top. How beautiful is this piece? I love all the detail on this blouse. It has this gorgeous like eyelet detail throughout. I love that it has a little bit of a puff sleeve. This elastic, you can't even feel it's actually hanging off, so you don't need to worry about that being tight. The ribbon is not functional, so it is just attached on the top of this, but it adds a fun little detail. And then the buttons are functioning. Has a beautiful little ruffle on the bottom. And I think this could be so pretty, like this with like a pair of jeans, preferably a pair that's not falling off of you, or even paired with like a beautiful skirt. The collection releases this coming Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I hope you are able to grab whatever you are eyeing if you're looking to add something to your collection, or if you were just curious to hang out, see, and maybe gain a little bit of outfit inspo. Okay, back to the kitchen. Well, it has been a long time since I've made cinnamon rolls. I've actually never made cinnamon rolls with fresh milled flour, so this is a new recipe that I'm trying. But with all the peaches in season right now, I thought, you know what, how delicious would that be to do like a peach cinnamon roll? So that's what we're gonna do next. Sprinkle some flour, and then we'll roll it out. Whoa, that's fun. Addie, maybe mommy can help you here after a bit. All right, we're gonna top it with some butter first. Okay, and then instead of sugar, I'm gonna use some honey here. Just melted that. All right, and then we're gonna sprinkle it pretty generously with some cinnamon. And then top with peaches. And we'll roll it up. Our cinnamon rolls are rising now, and so I thought I'd come out here and make some watermelon juice. This has been on my schedule for a while, or my want to try. I used to have this sometimes when we were in Belize, where my dad was born, but I've never actually made it myself, so I thought that sounded good and refreshing for a hot summer day. So I went ahead and made a glaze. This is just xylitol. I threw it in the blender in order to turn it into like a powdered sugar consistency, and then we added a little bit of vanilla and some milk. We'll drizzle that over. I thought it would be fun to make a crumb topping as well, or like a streusel for this. But Josh and the kiddos are ready to head to the barn, and this is going to be their barn snack today. So we're just going to do it like this. Well, this is not a recipe per se, but another thing that is happening a lot in the summertime in my kitchen, having to do with the flavors of summer, is canning. And I just mixed up a bunch of shredded cucumbers with onions, mixed it with some salt yesterday. You can see it's kind of soupy. The juices are really letting go. And so I need to strain this morning. I'm gonna kind of squeeze as much liquid out of it as I can, and then we're gonna proceed with making relish. I love to can relish, and I haven't done it for a couple years because I was having so much trouble with my cucumbers, so I'm excited to be back at it again this year. So first we'll head over to the sink here and strain this. We're gonna let the cucumbers and onions strain there a little bit, but it is actually lunchtime. So I'm just gonna throw together a very simple meal here. I have some leftover brisket that Josh smoked a couple of days ago now. So I'm just gonna thinly slice that. And then I pulled out some corn tortillas here that I don't think we'll fry them. I think we'll just heat them and then pop some sauerkraut on, and super simple. That's normally what lunches are. I like to do leftovers, but we didn't have enough leftovers from yesterday today. Yesterday's dinner was loaded zucchinis, which I showed on here a little while ago, and they got gobbled right down. So we are gonna go with this for lunch. Is well on its way here. We have our cucumbers and onions, I think, are well drained by now. We have our vinegar and water almost to a boil on the stove, and then Avi and I are just mixing up the rest of the spices and seasonings and everything, and then we're almost ready to pop it into jars. All right, we're gonna add our sugar and spices and flour mixed to our now boiling vinegar and water. You want to mix that? We're going to grab our cucumbers and onions.
Mix that.
So after we add the cucumbers and the onions, we're gonna just let this cook for a couple minutes until it's thick, and then we're gonna spoon it into jars. Now, to seal my jars, I actually often don't use my canner. It really depends what it is. Some things I definitely would use my canner, while other things I actually like to do an oven method, which is what my mother-in-law taught me. Basically, I'm just gonna boil the lids like you do normally to can, and then bake my jars at 225 for 45 minutes. It is late Saturday afternoon, and I'm sorry I look like a mess, I'm sure. Which, by the way, that's when I pull out my apron. Not so much for my clothes to stay clean because they are already dirty, but for my food to stay out of my dirty clothes. So we've been working out in the garden almost all day today. It has been a beautiful day, and I thought a perfect way to end a summer Saturday like this would be burgers, but I wasn't really hungry for burgers. I feel like we've had a lot of like bready things recently. So I want to do burger bowls. So same idea, but with a twist. And by the way, I also cleaned out the fridge. Found I had a couple onion pieces that need to be used. So I actually want to do a caramelized onion aioli to go on these burger bowls. Picked our first sweet corn of the season. And I think this is going to be a little bit young yet. But a little bit young is always better than a little bit old, and we could wait no longer. So we're gonna enjoy these with our burger bowls tonight. So to start off with here, I'm just gonna dice my onions and then we'll get these caramelizing. Okay, onions are caramelized, so we are gonna go ahead and mix up our aioli. I'm going to do a half, that's more like a 3/4 cup, of plain yogurt. This is more like a Greek style, and then we have some homemade mayo here. We're gonna do about the same amount of that. Yum. And then we're gonna do a little bit of apple cider vinegar, as well as our caramelized onions. We're gonna mix this all together and then we will set it aside. I'll probably set it in the fridge so that it can cool, and that will be like our sauce for these burger bowls. Wow, I cannot wait for dinner. This looks so good. Moving on to our burger patties. I am actually gonna make more than what we need for today. I thought these would be nice to have on hand. Maybe I can do some little sliders either for tomorrow evening or sometime next week. The kids would love that. I don't have a recipe for my hamburger patties. I just kind of dump. Often I use ketchup, but another thing I found in the fridge that needed used up is this pizza sauce. So I'm gonna add that today, and then normally I love using fresh onions. We have fresh onions, but I'm short on time. So I'm just gonna use some onion powder, same for garlic. We're just gonna do some garlic powder. As you can see, I like to go pretty heavy on it. And then some kind of breadcrumbs. This is just crumbled up fresh milled bread that I put on, and that just helps hold the patties together well. I'm gonna put in 3 eggs, a little bit of salt, and then we will mix these together, shape them, and they'll be ready to grill.
golden thing.